Hello students, let us learn lesson number 16. No formalities please. Formalities means etiquettes. Part 1. The students of class 4 greeted their teacher Mrs. Desai before they sat down. It was time for their English lesson. Shall we bring out our Balbharati textbook, teacher? Asked Shruti. After greeting Mrs. Desai, Shruti asked her, shall they open their Balbharati textbook? Not now, said the teacher. We are going to learn letter writing today. Some special types of letters. Come here, Javed and Nisha. Please distribute these notebooks. But the teacher said no need to bring out the textbooks because they were going to learn how to write later. And while they give out the books, continued Mrs. Desai, let me give you some good news. And while Javed and Nisha were distributing the notebooks, Mrs. Desai told that she has a good news. The students were all ears now. Their teacher announced with a smile, new arrivals in the library and plenty of them. Story books of every kind, informative books with lovely pictures, books of puzzles, jokes. All have been displayed in the library, so you will know which ones to ask for the next time you are in the library. All ears means eager to hear something. As she told she has a good news, all students were eager to hear that. And that good news was that new books had come in the library. And which kind of books? Informative books, books of puzzles, jokes, so many kinds of books were added in the library. Oh, lovely! I can hardly wait, were some of the eager responses to this piece of news. All were excited except one. All students were happy, but one student was not happy. Let us find out why. What's the use? Complained Felix. We have only one library period in a week, and hardly for half an hour too. Just when the story gets interesting, we have to leave the book and go back to class. Felix was not happy with that news. Why? Because he complained that they have only one period for library and that of for half an hour. And when there is an interesting part, that period ends up. So there is he thinks that it is not a good news. Now Varsha joined in to say, for 2 weeks I have been waiting to know what happened to the Pied Piper of Hamelin. There was a holiday last Thursday and we missed the library period. As we know from this paragraph, they have library period on Thursday, and Varsha also joins to say that means she is agree with Felix and complained that because of the holiday on Thursday she could not read that book. Pied Piper of Hamelin, it is the name of a book. Mrs. Desai realized that what her students said was perfectly true. She decided to request the principal to allow a home issue facility for class 4. After all, they were big enough to look after the books they took home. Realize means what? Understand. Mrs. Desai also heard it and thought it was a right point. So she decided to request the principal to allow students to take that book to home, because the students can look after the books means they won't tear it or they won't make it unclean. Hey, wait, thought Mrs. Desai. There is a better way to do it. Why not let the students themselves write a letter of request to the principal? After all, that was what she had planned to teach that day, how to write polite, formal letters. After hearing all this, Mrs. Desai had an idea, and what was that? As she was planning to teach them letter writing. This subject for letter writing was really appropriate. Let us learn page number 36. What an opportunity! A good subject for a formal letter. And of course, a real situation would make the learning more effective and interesting. So she is thinking to herself, really it is a good subject for formal letter writing. When Mrs. Desai suggested this to her class, they were very excited. Now all students also were excited. Without losing much time, Mrs. Desai began to teach her class how to write a formal letter. Now Mrs. Desai started to teach them how to write that. The sender's address and the date should be written in the upper right corner of the page. She taught. The first point of formal letter writing is to write sender's address. Senders means one who sends the letter. The next step is to write the name or post of the receiver near the left margin. Then write his or her address below that. The next point is you should write the name or post of the receiver. Receiver means a person who will get that letter. And after that, you must write the subject of the letter in short below the receiver's address she further instructed. And the next point is to write the subject. Means why are we writing that letter to that receiver? That's something new, remarked Sharon. We do not mention a subject in our friendly letters, do we? Now the student Sharon remarked that it is a new thing for her to write the subject in the letter, as we don't write letter in letters subject when we write a letter to our friends. Of course not, said Mrs. Desai. Mrs. Desai told, we don't write subject when we write letters to our friends. What do we do next, teacher? Shruti wanted to know. Now Shruti is eager to know the next step. You address the receiver, writing Dear Sir or Dear Madam. Remember, the rest of the letter also should be written in polite language. Right to the point, Mrs. Desai explained. The next point is you should write, if that is sir, then you should write sir, or if it is a madam, you will write dear madam. And should we end it with yours lovingly? Asked Renu. The student Renu asked, after writing the letter, how will they end? Means will they end with yours lovingly as we write in letters to friends? Oh no, said teacher. You can write that to your friends or parents or even to me. But when you are writing as a student to the principal, you may write yours faithfully or sincerely. Do not forget to thank the receiver appropriately before you close the letter. Come on now, let us draft this letter together. Now that Mrs. Desai was telling, you should not write yours lovingly to the formal letters when they are writing as a student to the principal. Now they are busy to make a draft, means which points they will add in the letter. After quite a few errors, cancellations and changes, here is the letter class 4 wrote to their principal. It was written very neatly. Let us see page number 37. As we have discussed some points which are highlighted on the page number 36, these all points are covered on page number 37. So here is the letter those students sent to their principal. And do you remember why they wrote this letter? As we can quickly tell after reading the subject here, request for home issue facility, as they want to take the storybooks to their home and read it. In this way we have finished the part 1 here. Thank you.